Welcome to InContext, the podcast by Blindata, the cloud platform to build and to govern the full life cycle of the enterprise information architecture. I'm Jacopo, the product owner of Blindata, and in each episode, together with Andrea and Gabriele, we'll explore how to enrich data with context to make it easier to understand, use, and combine, unlocking its full potential. If you want to learn more about Blindata, head over to our website blindata.io or sign up for our newsletter to stay in the loop. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode and discover together how context changes everything. Welcome back, everyone, to this second episode of Blindata podcast in context. In our very first episode, we set the stage by laying out this big vision for what we called an enterprise information architecture. We talk about how it's built upon three different layers: the data developer platform, the data product catalog, and the knowledge layer. And today we want to dive in this concept by discussing the layer in the middle, the data product catalog layer. And to start the discussion, we must discuss, obviously, the fundamental, and here we have Andrea. We know already that there are a lot of different definitions about what is a data product and so on. Andrea wrote a book on that, so I want to ask Andrea the first $1 million question is why we are talking about data products?
For many reasons, of course. Let's start with a simple definition. We have already provided definition in the previous episode of the podcast, but just to be sure that everyone are on the same page, at least just to tell all the new listener what is our definition of data product. Basically, a data product is a software application, but it's a software application in which the functionality are a byproduct of the data. So, respect to traditional software application in which the data is a byproduct of the functionalities, in a data product is exactly the other way around. So the functionality exists only to make available and easy to use the data that the data product itself is designed to manage. What are the characteristics? Why the data product actually exists? What are the main abilities of that characterize the architecture of a data product? As we have said, the data product exists for many two reasons. One is to guarantee the fact that the data managed have a value for the organization and defend this value, and the other is to multiply the value of the managed asset. So in terms of defense, the data product must guarantee the relevance of the managed asset. Not all the data in a company should be managed as a product, but only the data that are relevant. Relevant means that have potential value to support a use case that is considered valuable and have an impact on the organization. And not all the data set have these characteristics. So the data product must guarantee this kind of relevance. And the other, in terms of defense, the other characteristics, the other ability that the data product must have at the architectural level is the fact that it must defend the accuracy of the data managed. Accuracy means data quality, means that the data asset managed is a fit for purpose. So it's not only important that the data asset is relevant, but need to be ready to be used. So with the right level of quality, with the right level of detail, with all the information that are needed to make a valuable use of the asset itself. And this is on the defensive side. On the more attack side, so multiply the value of the asset managed, we have other two abilities. One is reusability. Of course, the data product manages a specific data asset to support one use case. We do not want to build a data product to make a stock, because maybe in the future someone are going to have a use case that can use that particular data asset, but we implement and start to implement a data product when there is a real needs that come from the business in terms of use case. But we do not want to implement a data product in order to support only that specific use case. We want to design a data product in order to make the asset manager reusable also for other use cases in the future. So reusability is an important utility in the architecture and design of the data product. The third characteristic, the last one, is composability, because of course you want to use the data exposed by the data product, and this multiply the value of the data managed by the data product, because the more you use the data asset, the more valuable the data asset itself is. But also the value of the data asset increase when you combine this data asset with other data assets that are exposed by other data products. So also the composability is very important. How easy is to integrate the data asset exposed with the other data asset exposed by other data product, both at the technical and semantical level. So these are the four main characteristics: relevance, accuracy on the defensive side, and the reusability and composability on the side that is focused on multiply the value of the asset managed.
Thank you, Andrea. And I think that every one of us can agree that these utilities you've discussed can be considered such as an holy grail for every data team. But here we have, again, some open questions. And for what you said, there are some utilities that are about the single data product, but there are other utilities that are more related to the collection, to the portfolio of the data platform. So this is obviously a broad question, but how we can guarantee for the single data product and for the portfolio as a whole that this is working? What are the consequences when an organization or data teams want to reach that kind of level of utilities in their data platform?
Yes, you're right. I think just an idea that came to my mind right now, but I think that probably there is an error in the title of my book, because the title of my book is Managing Data as a Product. Probably the right title should be Managing Data as a Product, with the S, plural, no? Because no one is really interested in create one single data product. One single data product is just a way of spend a lot of money to manage one asset as a product, creating all the infrastructure on top of the data asset itself, but have not a real value. Yes, you make that asset more easy to use, more relevant, but the real value of managing data as a product is the fact that you are managing a collection, a library, a portfolio of different data products, and you want to leverage this portfolio every time that you have a new use case in order to try to implement the use case by the recombination of the already existing data products. So the approach of managing data products succeed only if, after a certain amount of time, use case after use case, you have a sufficient big portfolio, a right number of data products implemented to make the fact that implementing the new use case can be done by a recombination of the already existing data products. So having a portfolio that grows indefinitely, in which you build a new data product every time you have a new use case, is a failure in terms of managing data as a product. The goal and the promise of this kind of approach of data management is that after a certain point, when you have enough data product in your portfolio, you can start to implement new use cases without having to spend a lot in integration to build new data products, but just you can recombine the already existing data product. So when you start to think with this logic of a portfolio, it's not only important how you manage the single data product, but how you manage the portfolio as a whole. So So it's very important, the governance, the federated governance, to define policies at the global level in order to guarantee that all the data products are developed with the same level of quality, following the same standard, following the same protocol to be integrable at the technological level. And you need also to have a support from a central platform that help in collect all the metadata and information related to the data product, that help to monitor the data product in a production environment, that help to make this data product easily findable by possible users, and make also easy to combine the existing data product within the portfolio. No? So it's like an internet. It's a nice thing to have a good web page, but then you need to have a search engine. And here is the same. You want to manage a portfolio, so you want to create a wonderful data product, but you want also to have a platform that allow you to manage the portfolio of all the created data product as a whole, creating a single control plane over your portfolio. So usually and traditionally, to manage the data asset under management in a company, we use a data product catalog. But the question now I have a question to you, Jacopo. The question is, but the data product catalog is still the right tool to manage a portfolio of data product, or we can do better? We can move beyond the simple data catalog to manage the data product at the central level.
Yes, here the answer obviously is yes and no.
Depends. Like a consultant like to say, depends. But of course, yes, I know.
Of course, the data catalog per se is still a useful tool, and the problem arises traditionally that we overloaded the responsibilities over the data catalog. The data catalog works very well when we are interested in technical information. We want to know a schema of a table, or maybe we have a dashboard that we know that's insisting over a table in our data warehouse, and we want to know, but where is this table, in which schema, in which instances of the database. So for all those technical questions, we still need a data catalog, and a data catalog obviously that must be accessible not only to technical people or to developers. Every system we have around have some sort of technical data catalog inside. Let's think about an information schema. This is just a technical representation of a data catalog in which we can find all the tables, all the schemas, all the technical metadata. So when we are still searching for that kind of answers, the data catalog works very well. The struggle that we have in these years and that we see in all those LinkedIn posts that are saying that data catalogs are there, dead, is because we are overloading the functionalities of the data catalog by thinking that a structured way of documenting technical data asset can give us answers about accountability, about ownership, about semantic meaning of our data asset, and that things obviously is difficult to manage, difficult to maintain, but just because the data catalog per se wasn't designed to answer that kind of that kind of question. And obviously every tool, every data governance platform and I include ours, are moving toward a different kind of approach that relies not in eliminating and deleting data catalog functionalities, but treating data catalog as only for technical metadata, and moving that the other responsibilities on another level. Some other data catalogs just use, for example, collection to put data products inside already existing data catalogs. We deal that problem in a different manner, because if we use collection or tags to distinguish data catalog, we are still we are making the same errors of the past by tagging technical metadata technical asset with ownership or business glossary terms, and we know that this is what's worked. So there are a lot of changes from from a technical personal solution perspective and both from organizational perspective. As Gabriele can confirm, data product catalogs is something that is more that takes a different approach in organizing both processes
Yes.
and metadata around well-defined concepts that are data products.
Okay, so
Yes,
I'm,
yes.
I'm super curious about the answer of Gabriele, but just before, to summarize your answer, you said, okay, the data catalog is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Okay, and
Yes.
this make a lot of sense to me because basically nowadays we can say that the data catalog is the foundation, but everybody have a data catalog. Even my fridge, that is a smart fridge, have a data catalog. So a data catalog is not a business model. It's a foundation for creating some product on top of the catalog. And so each vendor that provides a data catalog in a way or in another have a value proposition that is built on the extension of the catalog. The catalog is a commodity. Everybody have a catalog, but how you use the catalog, what you are building on top of the catalog, what is what characterizes your value proposition. And basically, what you have said is that our ideas at Blindata is the fact that the data catalog should be extended in order to manage the data product as a first-class citizen, and that's okay. Gabriele, what does it mean?
Yes, you should start to change your mindset. So if we start with a traditional catalog, we are just indexing metadata about technical components, as Jacopo already said. While in a data product catalog, each item isn't just a passive listing, but it's a first-class object. So each data product comes in a data product catalog comes with a clear owner. So you know who's accountable for that specific data product. It comes with interfaces, which are typically described by data product descriptor and data contracts. And it comes also with indicators about quality, freshness, and delivery guarantees. And the most important thing, I think, is it comes with a defined business purpose. So why this data exists and how it's meant to be used. So it's not just here's a list of data assets, but it's like here's a certified customer service product owned by the marketing team, which is refreshed daily, governed by access policies, and ready to be reused by other teams like sales teams and analytic teams.
Yes, and Gabriele,
And
you mentioned that the mindset shift, and but what really changed about how do we maintain the data catalog? No, you mentioned that the data catalog actually is maintained by crawling technical metadata, and then in a centralized fashion, someone a data steward maybe maintain that metadata by tagging with ownership and semantic meaning. That is the traditional approach. What changes in a data product oriented approach from the point
yes,
of view of the process?
it changes because we bring governance and documentation directly into the development phase and not after. So with a data product descriptor, the team defines everything upfront. So schema, ownership, SLAs, access rules, and the business meaning of the data assets. And that file becomes the single source of truth. In a traditional catalog, metadata is often added later, so it's extracted by crawling, and someone who didn't build the data should catalog the metadata extracted. So you lose the business meaning. The ownership of the data asset is very difficult to give, and so you have no guarantees. With a shift left approach, all the context is added by the team that know the data best, so while they're building it. So this is very important things.
So yeah, you outlined what it is called shift left, and in the shift left scenario, we always hear about data contract and data descriptor that are almost the same. Sometimes they are different. There is a lot of, I would say, a lot of chaos in this area of shift lefting, metadata, and to someone not really in the field, they can sound really similar, and sometimes I've seen also teams use them interchangeably. And so here the question is for Andrea, that if you can set the record straight for us, and what's the real difference between data product descriptor and data contracts, and why does it matter to address that kind of to understand that kind of difference in outlining a data platform?
Yes, basically when you shift left the responsibility of managing the metadata to the data product team and not to a central team of data steward, of course you want that the metadata are provided by the product team before the deployment of the data product itself in a production environment. No? So you want to define a sort of quality gate, a stage before the production, in order to guarantee that it's not possible for a product to move in production if not comes with all the metadata. So the question is how the different data product team can formalize this metadata, what kind of metadata are needed from the data product team, and how to encode them, no? Basically, because you do not want that every team encode the different kind of metadata with different level of detail, with different methods to encode this metadata and pass in this metadata to the platform. So usually here is when the federated governance kick in and define basically a common standard to specify how to encode the metadata that are needed to provide in order to move the data product in a production environment. And here come the two concepts that you have mentioned, Jacopo. One is the data product descriptor, and the other one is the data content. So what is the difference? The data product descriptor basically is the source of truth of all the metadata that are related to the data product, where we consider the data product as an application. So basically, the data product descriptor, first and foremost, describe all the services exposed by the data product. So all the ports, no, as they are called in the language of data product management, and what are the interfaces of this port to which the data product expose its functionalities. Of course, the most important are the output port that basically expose the data managed by the data product, but the data product can have also other type of functionality that can be called by external users. So for example, can have observability port, control port, discovery port. There are different type of services aside the fact that the data product exposes that asset, that the data product can expose to the outside world, and these are described in the data product descriptor. The data product descriptor also can contain information related to the different components, modules that compose the data product as a whole. So for example, what are the infrastructure used by the data product, where is located the code and the code component that do the transformation or manage the data within the data product. This is not something that is usually publicly visible to potential consumer, but are information that you can put in the data product descriptor in order to make these information usable by the platform itself to automate, for example, the deployment process, or automate some capability of monitoring the status of the data product itself when it is in the production environment. This is the data product descriptor. The data contract instead described all the metadata related to one specific data asset. No? So it's the source of truth of the metadata metadata related to the data asset. The data asset have a schema that defines the structure of the data asset, and all the metadata that you can associate to the schema usually goes into the data contract. Now you can specify the type of the different columns, the meaning of the columns, quality level and quality check that you want to apply to the different columns and field, and so far and so forth. So basically describing what is containing into the specific data asset. So basically the data contract can be seen as a sub part of the data product descriptor, because in the data product descriptor, as I said before, you have the description, for example, of each port exposed by the data product. Among these ports there are the output ports. The description of the output ports describe what is the data asset exposed to which kind of API, and then you can attach to the output port the data contract that describe the data asset exposed through that output port. No? So can be a subpart. Of course, in some implementation you can have also, if you want to start small in a simple way, you can start with just the data contract without specifying all the output port, the interface, the API, the internal element of the data product. Just say, okay, this data product exposes these 3 data sets and these are the 3 data contracts. This is the simpler implementation at the beginning to pass metadata relevant, the most relevant metadata related to a data product to the data platform, but then you can extend the information and a lot of metadata that are related to the data product that are not directly related to the data asset exposed, because you not only want to know the structure and the metadata associated to the data asset, but you want to know what are the API, the availability of the API that expose this data, who is the owner of the data product, how I can contact the owner of the data product, and so far and so forth. But these are information that are not really related to the data asset exposed, but are related to the product as a whole, and the data asset is just a part of the data product. So basically, just to summarize, the data contract is a part of the data product descriptor. If you want to start simple, you can start by the data contract and then evolve, moving to a more complete data product descriptor that also contains the data contract as a subpart.
Yes, and I didn't want to interrupt you. Just another, let's say, advantage of having a descriptor or having a data contract is the fact that through standardization, we can also help the work of governance, because obviously by developing data product, we are decentralizing activities. Decentralizing activities brings complexities in the governance. So the standardization element that a data
It's
product
crucial, yeah.
or a data contract can bring into the platform, it's fundamental to all of this centralization, because all this discussion is around decentralizing processes, because we have decentralized the development. Now we are decentralizing the governance activities. So de facto having a mechanism of standardization that upon which the governance can be automated is fundamental.
Absolutely.
So,
Consider this thing. For me, the most important thing of shifting left is the fact that the life cycle of data and metadata is synchronized. So it's not possible to have a data in a production environment without having already the metadata that describe this data perfectly synchronized, because you cannot move the data product in production without the data product descriptor, the data con. This is the most important thing. But also defining a standard, a common standard within a company that describes which metadata are needed and how to encode them in a specific file format is super useful, because otherwise the implementation of the platform needed to write a connector for each domain and for each way the data product team can pass this metadata to the central data platform. Now consider that the marketing domain pass the metadata to an Excel, another in a JSON, another in YAML. The name of the metadata passed change domain by domain. No, it's crazy for the platform team to. The metadata are there. Everybody provide the right metadata, but in 1 million different format, and the platform need to try to make adapter to just ingest this metadata. So you have shift left, but the platform team became crazy at the same time. No. So it's better to have standardize this, also the encoding, to standardize also the encoding.
Yes. So far, we have discussed all the consequences from the provider side, so for the developers, for the data provider side, but we didn't talk about what is what are the consequences from a consumer perspective, so from a data analyst or a data science that is approaching these different paradigm. Here, I ask Gabriele how a data product catalog can make the life of a consumer easier in the sense.
Yes, in this sense, first of all, the catalog allows the consumer to easily navigate around the offer of different data product and verify their trustworthiness and the quality of the data asset that are exposed. But then you can go even further by developing what's so called a data product marketplace. The data product marketplace lets you request access, see data product usage, and understand the policies that are applied to different data product.
Gabriele, I would say that the main difference here is that if we look at the traditional data catalog approach, a data analyst goes into the data catalog and see thousands of tables tagged with business terms, and it is completely lost if it doesn't know how to move. It's a difficult discovery experience, I would say, while in the data product catalog we have curated data asset just as we go into an e-commerce of tools.
Exactly.
We don't find the pieces. If we want to buy something, we do not find the pieces to to be put together, but we find a curated product. And that kind of experience is the same. So that is the main difference, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
for me
But
is in the normal production supply chain. No, of course, if you have a company that develop product and put a product on the market, you will have some sort of bill of material with all the raw material that you needed to have in place to build your product, and this is the data catalog. Okay, the data asset is the raw material. Then you have some sort of product lifecycle management in which all the components that come, all the raw material that are registered in the bill of material come together across the conceptualization of product and follow all the life cycle of the product from deployment to retirement. It's the same, and this is the data product catalog. But then you do not make your user, your customer, access to your internal data product lifecycle management. Now it's too much technical because it's something that is designed to manage the life cycle of the product from the production point of view. You want to have a marketplace, you want to have a retail side, you want to have an Amazon, no, that show the product in a way that is made easy to find them and to consume them. No, not in a way that is easy to product them and manage the production of the products. Two different kind of experience. So you have the data product catalog, and on top you have the marketplace, but are designed for different users, different kind of needs.
Yes, and that is the answers to the one of the utilities you said before, because in that way the product becomes usable in an easy way. But what about the infrastructure architecture we discussed in the first episode? Now we're missing a layer, which is the one of the knowledge. How that layer of knowledge management fits into the discussion.
Well, it's super important. It's super important because usually, just use the metaphor that we have just introduced. Now, when you go to on Amazon, usually you are looking for a specific product. No, you want to buy a book and you are looking for a book, and when you have found the book, that's your product, and you buy the product. No, but usually when it comes to that product, you almost never want to buy just a single product. You want to buy a multiple product that can support the use case that you have at hand. No? So to implement a use case, you need multiple data product. You need to put together multiple data product, and then this data integrated can support efficiently the use case. No, it's like if I'm going to Amazon, I'm not looking for a book. But I'm looking for building a learning curricula on some stuff, and I want to buy multiple books related to that curriculum. Or I want to build myself a table, and I need to buy all the products that are needed to build the table, not just a single product. No, so I need that the marketplace help me to understand, according to my needs, what are the products that I need to put in place, how this can be used together, and how this can be connected. So I want to have a semantic layer. I want to have the conceptual model that help me to translate what I need, described in the language of the business, into a collection of semantically interoperable product that I can buy and put together in an easy way. So the semantic part for me is very, very important, because yes, it's a marketplace, but it's not a marketplace in which the traditional purchase is a one single product purchase. The traditional purchase is to buy multiple product because I have a specific need, and I can solve that need only to putting together different product.
It's like a recipe, yeah.
Exactly. It's like a recipe. It's the same question. I want to ask not please, I need the pasta, I need a dish, I need eggs. I want to ask to the marketplace, I need to do a carbonara. What I need to buy. So I need to have a conceptual model, first of all, that understand the term carbonara. That is maybe a term used by the business, is a proper term, no? And translate in a list of products that I can buy and that I put together, okay, to do the carbonara. And that's the kind of experience that the data product marketplace want to provide to the consumer. But in order to provide this experience to the consumer, need to have a conceptual model, need to have the capability to understand how the different products are connected at the semantic level. Of course, you can do that having two different products. You can have on one side your data product catalog provided by one vendor, and your semantic layer, context layer, context engine, call it whatever you want, but basically is the place where you put your conceptual model, your information about your business domain, your recipe, no? Okay? And then you can connect them, and then try to do this interaction between the conceptual model for reasoning and search for data, and then the data product catalog to search within the data. But of course, it's more complex for the platform team, because we need to try to do this integration with the friction, because it's not the same platform, and even the experience, it's not so much frictionless even for the consumer, because I have to move between two different kind of tool, no? And I know that now we are going probably to see the demo of Blindata, but when we say that Blindata manage the full life cycle of the information architecture, means that we put a data product catalog together with a semantic layer, a layer that is able to manage the conceptual model, and we create within the same platform the link between these two models, creating a knowledge graph that can be navigated vertically from data to concept and from concept to data, within the same platform, within the same UX, within the same experience, frictionless.
Okay, thank you guys. As in the previous episode, we have talked a lot. We promised ourselves to keep the podcast shorter, but
I never do that. The first thing
I
that
say
I said, that this podcast have no limit of time. We can go on till the conversation we have something to say. So
okay, so I would say we have all said almost everything that we wanted to say. So I just asked Gabriele to give a brief overview of Blindata, and focusing on the fact that we always say that data products must be a first citizen in a data governance platform. So Gabriele, just show us and tell us what does it mean.
Yes, we are seeing the data product detail page of our data product catalog, In particular, it is a customer habits data product. And at the first glance, we can see that it's a very rich page. This is because we treat data product in Blindata. We treat data product like a first class objects. So in the first part, we can already see the dependencies of this data product with all the interfaces that are defined inside the descriptor. We see the input part, so the input the dependencies of this data product, and the output part, so the exposed interfaces to the other data products. We have a classic representation of a data product with its description, its name, its version, but also its port. So if
Gabriele,
we can,
I would say
yeah,
we have the correct representation of a data product. It is not a
exactly,
tag, it is not a collection, it is not an home,
yeah.
a custom-made interface, but it has a well-defined model and it has focused features only to manage the process around data products.
Yes, but in this page we can also see features that are not strictly related to the content of the scripture, the metadata of the descriptor itself, because we can see things like the data quality. You know. So at a first glance, we can see the quality of the exposed asset of each output port, and we can see also the policies which are adopted by the data product. And this is very important because with computational policies, as Andrea already said, you can verify the data product before it goes in the production environment. So, for example, you can verify that all the data is kept inside the European Union, which is a very important security policy. And also, if we move further, we can see another very important feature of the data product catalog, which is the responsibilities. We can see the responsible of this data product. So with a first glance, I can know which are the people that are responsible for this specific data product and which role they cover. So if I have a problem with the product because I'm using this product, I already know which one to contact. Which Slack which Slack should I send to the person? And but I can also leave a review, no, on the product. So if I'm using this product, I can say, look, guys, this product is very well done, or otherwise leave a bad review. And also I can open an issue on this product with the issue modules. So all the responsible of this data product will receive a notification and will open a workflow to manage the problem or the request. And
And
the last but sorry.
last but not least, just to create some expectations or just an interruption. What I want to
Yeah.
stress, this is very, very important, that all this functionality that you have shown us are not something really innovative, no? It's something that every data catalog have in place, no? In each data catalog, you can specify responsibilities, open issues, all this stuff, make comments, whatever, no? Are functionality that are really common in each data catalog. But here the important thing is that we can define all these functionality at the level of the data product. So are not just applicable to the data asset, and then the data asset can be grouped with a collection or tagging into the data product. But the data product, when we say that the data product in our catalog is a first-class citizen, that means that all cross-cutting functionality like responsibility, access management, quality, policy, issue management can be associated directly to the data product. So you can
Exactly.
restrict the access not to the data asset level, but to the data product product level. You can specify computational policy at the data product level, not only at the data asset level. You can open an issue on the data product, not just on the data asset. No, and this is very important, because if you have decided to manage data as a product, you want to have a catalog that have data product as a first-class citizen, not something that you can, with a workaround, define through tagging, but you are not able then to use the functionality provided by your data catalog at the level of the data product. You have to apply this functionality at a level of just the data asset, and the data product is just a collection of data assets.
Yes, exactly.
Moreover, there are a lot of features that also are specific to data products and to support all those processes we have discussed before. Obviously, this podcast is not about that feature, but as you can see, you have some request access button for the marketplace. You have some information about the pipelines, the development pipelines, and so from that kind of perspective, with the proper permission, you can have the data product catalogs working as a control plane from the data platform. So obviously there are some cross features, there are some features that are specific to the data products that makes the data product a first class citizen for the data
basically
product.
If you are managing that as a product, if you are doing data mesh, call it as you prefer, the question is why you have to work around your data catalog in order to make your data catalog understand what is a data product, and not using a data product catalog that already speak your own language and have the concept of data product and is ready to use with your together without any friction with your paradigm. This is an important question that you have to make.
Okay, guys, I think that for today we say everything we wanted to say. So we will deep dive into each one of these topic in the next episode. The next ones will be about the knowledge management, the management layer. So we will talk about ontologies. Then we will focus on the marketplace and all the other modules, so that constructs and that builds the so-called enterprise information architecture. So
and this Jacopo, we are going to release in September the marketplace, right? And we are going at Big Data London to present the new functionalities. No, so in September we have decided to dedicate this episode. The next episode, the episode of September, will be dedicated to this new release, and we will describe the data product marketplace.
So thank you, Gabriele. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you all that want to listen our podcast. So let's keep in touch. Subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on LinkedIn. So thank you very much, and see you soon.
And let us know if you want longer episodes, because shorter is impossible. But if you want to have a longer, we can do longer. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for today's episode of InContext. We hope this gave you a clearer understanding of why enterprise information architectures and context matter more than ever. Thanks to Andrea and Gabriele for joining. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Spotify and YouTube, and visit our landing page for updates and bonus content. Until next time, stay curious and remember always to keep things in context.